in Chapter 11, Section 2, some of you are going to see a connection to Chapter 10, where we did our counting. We had a complementary rule for counting. In this section, we're going to have a complementary rule for probability. We also had an OR rule for counting, the number of A or B. In this section, we're going to have an OR rule for probability. The probability of A or B, and both of them are related to the formulas that we've already looked at with counting. But before we do either of those two things, I want to look at three properties of probability, and I'm going to guess that you already know them. You just maybe don't realize they do. Okay. Here's the first question. What's the probability that you will have a homework assignment today?
100%.
100%. What's 100% as a decimal? Do what?
1.0.
Yeah, it's 1, isn't it? So you're telling me that the probability of something certain is 1. Is that what you're saying? Okay. That's the first property. If something is going to happen, if there's no doubt about it, then it has a probability of 1. Okay. Next question. What's the probability that you look down in 5 seconds and see a lion having a baby at your feet? I don't know why I picked that one. That's just what came to my mind. I know it's weird. Okay, I get it.
0.
So you're telling me that the probability of an impossible event is 0.
Yes.
Okay. So if it's impossible, it has probability of 0. The probability of a certain event is 1. The probability of an impossible event is 0. The probability of everything else is somewhere in between. You hear that? So any event, regardless of what it is, when you find its probability, it has to be greater than or equal to 0. It'll be equal to 0 if it's impossible. It'll be greater than that if it's not impossible. And it has to be less than or equal to 1. If it's certain, it'll be equal to 1. If it's not certain, it'll be less than that. So probability has to be 0 to 1 inclusive. So this is what really frustrates me sometimes when I'm grading tests. I'll say, what's the probability of blah, blah, blah? And somebody will answer 2.7. Well, probability can't be 2.7, class. It can be 0, or it can be 1, or it's somewhere in between. Or I have even seen this. What's the probability of something? And somebody put -0.5. Well, probability's either got to be 0, 1, or somewhere in between. It can't be outside of those. Okay, so 3 rules of probability. I'm down to 5 minutes, so I probably better shut it down right there.